melody where the music's always bright. From history to theory, will keep your spirits light. Tune in for the stories, the rhythms and the groove. Join us on this journey, there's always more to prove. The melody, where every note's a thrill. The melody, welcome to the Melody Podcast with your favorite host, James Shelton.
Welcome to the Melody Podcast. I'm your host, James Shelton. Welcome to episode 28. There's only 4 more episodes of this season, plus the bio bonuses. Let's get started. Today we're talking about Frank Sinatra. Francis Albert Frank Sinatra was born on December 12, 1915 in Hoboken, New Jersey, the only child of Sicilian immigrants. A teenage Sinatra decided to become a singer after watching Bing Crosby perform in the mid-1930s. He had already been a member of the Glee Club in his high school and began to sing at local nightclubs. Radio exposure brought him to the attention of band leader Harry James, with whom Sinatra made his first recordings, including All or Nothing at All in 1940. Tom Dorsey invited Sinatra to join his band. After 2 years of chart-topping success with Dorsey, Sinatra decided to strike out on his own. Between 1943 and 1946, Sinatra's solo career blossomed as the singer charted a slew of hit singles. The mobs of Bobby Soxer fans Sinatra attracted with his dreamy baritone earned him such nicknames as The Voice and the Sultan of Swoon. It was the war years, and there was a great loneliness, recalled Sinatra, who was unfit for military service due to a punctured eardrum. I was the boy in every corner. Sinatra made his movie acting debut in 1943 with the films Revel with Beverly and Higher and Higher. In 1945, he won a special Academy Award for The House I Live In, a 10-minute short made to promote racial and religious tolerance on the home front. Sinatra's popularity began to slide in the post-war years, however, leading to a loss of his recording and film contracts in the early 1950s. But in 1953, he made a triumph comeback, winning an Oscar for supporting actor for his portrayal of an Italian-American soldier, Mario, in the classic From Here to Eternity. Although this was his first non-singing role, Sinatra quickly found a new vocal outlet when he received a recording contract with Capitol Records in the same year. The Sinatra of the 1950s brought forth a more mature sound with jazzier inflections in his voice. Having regained stardom, Sinatra enjoyed continued success in both movies and music for years to come. He received another Academy Award nomination for his work in The Man with the Golden Arm, 1955, and earned critical acclaim for his performance in the original version of The Turin Candidate in 1962. Meanwhile, he continued to be a formidable chart president. When his record sales began to dip by the end of the 1950s, Sinatra left Capitol to establish his own record label, Reprise, in association with Warner Brothers, which later bought Reprise. Sinatra also set up his own independent film production company, R10s. By the mid-1960s, Sinatra was back on top again. He received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and headlined the 1965 Newport Jazz Festival with Count Basie's orchestra. This period also marked his Las Vegas debut, where he continued on for years as the main attraction at Caesar's Palace. As a founding member of the Rat Pack, alongside Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop, Sinatra came to optimize the hard-drinking, womanizing, gambling swinger, an image constantly reinforced by the popular press and Sinatra's own albums. With his modern edge and timeless class, even radical youth of the day had to pay Sinatra his due. As Jim Morrison of Doors once said, No One Can Touch Him. The Rat Pack made several films during their heyday. The famed Ocean's 11, 1960, Sergeant's 3, 1962, 4 for Texas, 1963, and Robin and the Seven Hoods, 1964. Back in the world of music, Sinatra had a big hit in 1966 with the Billboard #1 track, Strangers in the Night, which won a Grammy for the Record of the Year. He also recorded the duet Something Stupid with his daughter Nancy, who previously made waves with the feminist anthem These Boots Are Made for Walking. The two reached #1 for 4 weeks with Something Stupid in the spring of 1967. By the end of the decade, Sinatra had added another signature song to his repertoire, My Way, which was adapted from a French tune and featured new lyrics by Paul Arkin. After a brief retirement in the early 1970s, Sinatra returned to the music scene with the album Old Blue Eyes Is Back, 1973, and also became more politically active. Having first visited the White House in 1944, while campaigning for Franklin D. Roosevelt in his bid for the 4th term in office, Sinatra worked eagerly with John F. Kennedy's election in 1960 and later supervised JFK's inaugural gala in Washington. The relationship between the two soared, however, after the president canceled a weekend visit to Sinatra's house due to the singer's connections to Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana. By the 1970s, Sinatra had abandoned his long-held Democratic loyalties and embraced the Republican Party, supporting first Richard Nixon and later close friend Ronald Reagan, who presented Sinatra with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civil award, in 1985. Frank Sinatra married his childhood sweetheart Nancy Barbato in 1939. They had 3 children together, Nancy, born in 1940, Frank Sinatra Jr., born in 1944, and Tina, born in 1948, before their marriage unraveled in the late 1940s. In 1951, Sinatra married actress Ava Gardner. After they split, Sinatra remarried for a 3rd time to Mia Farrow in 1966. That union, too, ended in divorce in 1968, and Sinatra married for a 4th and final time in 1976 to Barbara Blakely Marx, the ex-wife of comedian Zeppo Marx. The two remained together until Sinatra's death more than 20 years later. In October of 2013, Farrow made headlines after stating in an interview with Vanity Fair that Sinatra could be the father of her 25-year-old son, Renan, who is Farrow's only official biological child with director Woody Allen. In an interview, she also acknowledged Sinatra as the great love of her life, saying, "We never really split up." In response to the buzz surrounding his mother's comments, Renan jokingly tweeted, "Listen, we're all possibly Frank Sinatra's son." In 1987, author Kitty Kelly published an unauthorized biography of Sinatra, accusing the singer of relying on mob ties to build his career. Such claims failed to diminish Sinatra's widespread popularity. In 1993, at the age of 77, he gained legions of new, younger fans with the release of Duets, a collection of 13 Sinatra standards that he recorded, featuring the likes of Barbra Streisand, Bono, Tony Bennett, and Aretha Franklin. While the album was a major hit, some critics extolled the quality of the project, as Sinatra had recorded his vocals well before his collaborators laid down their tracks. Sinatra performed in concert for the last time in 1995 at the Palm Desert Marriott Ballroom in California. On May 14, 1998, Frank Sinatra died of a heart attack at Los Angeles Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He was 82 years old and had, at last, faced his final curtain. With a show business career that spanned more than 50 years, Sinatra continued mass appeal. His mass appeal can be best explained in the man's own words: "When I sing, I believe I'm honest." In 2010, the well-received biography Frank the Voice was published by Doubleday and penned by James Kaplan. The writer released a sequel to the volume in 2015, Sinatra, the Chairman, making the musical icon's centennial year. Frank Sinatra's top 5 songs are Fly Me to the Moon, number 4, That's Life, number 3, The Best Is Yet to Come, number 2, My Way, and number 1, New York, New York, which, as everybody knows, New York, New York, because that is the song that they play after the clock strikes midnight on New Year's. You can check us out on Facebook at The Melody Pod for news and other information. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can listen to us free on YouTube or iHeartRadio. Or if you have a subscription through Apple Music or Spotify, subscribe. Never miss an episode. All our videos are now in video format with captions. Woohoo! Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for listening.